Can you dig it, you sucker?
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. It's your boy Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the BOAT. As always, man, we doing it like it's supposed to be done. Making all them suckers bow down, pandemic style. What's going on, man? How you feel?
Pandemic style. That's a new way to do it, huh? I'm good, Book. I'm good. I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed the weekend. Everything was fine. What about you?
Yeah, man. When I got around the golf in yesterday, and I'm almost about to join the 300 club, man. I'm close to joining the 300 club, and it feels good. It feels good, man. Out of 18 holes, man, I had one crappy hole. Got a triple bogey on it, and but other than that, man, if I could just alleviate those 1, 2, perhaps 3 holes out of 18, man, I could get myself ready for the seniors tour, man. The senior celebrity tour, of course. But
do you count as a senior? I don't think so.
Well, 55, you know what I mean? So I got my AARP.
I think that's right. And it's 60, 65, something like that?
No, man. I think it's a little over 50 seniors tour.
Okay.
I think 50 you can join the seniors tour.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm thinking about joining the celebrity seniors tour. You know, that means, they just pay me to come out. I don't have to win nothing. I just have to show up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you, man. It's actually. I remember I played in a golf tournament one time, and they paid me $5,000 just to play around the golf, and I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can make this like a little semi-career. You know what I mean? Because it's golf tournaments going on every weekend somewhere, and if I can get 5 a pop, 10 a pop, you know what I mean? That'd be on like neck bone, man.
I'm sure you would love that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm that close. I'm that close to actually. I wouldn't say figuring the game out, because it's a game of always, trying to, learn something. But I do think I'm that close to actually being able to go out and playing a consistent round of golf. Trying to break into 70s. I think my score might have been 83 or something like that on Sunday. But last week I shot an 80. So I'm just trying to crack that glass ceiling, crack the 70s. And I'll be all right.
Which one of the guys, like, someone from WCW, WWE, because you've played golf for decades, right? I mean, since the late 90s, early 2000s. Which one of the guys who you played with was the best golfer?
Man, I've seen JBL hit a 300 plus drive, and he would actually probably be the guy that would be perhaps the best golfer in WWE that I've played with. And but one of the security guards back in the day, Jimmy Tillis, him and I, we used to get out there and play all the time. Even Maven. I don't know if you remember Maven.
I remember Maven, tough enough.
Yeah. We used to get out there and play on the road all the time. And my boy Double Dave, techno guy, pyro techno guy. He was one of the guys I would play with all the time. He was a pretty good golfer. He stayed here in Houston as well. So yeah, man, there's a few of the guys. The Miz was the worst, but I heard the Miz has picked up his game, and he's actually really getting off into it from a serious perspective. So I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, shout out to the Miz. Maybe I'll need to go back on the links sometime and see how much better he's actually gotten.
Well, what happened was a few years back, the Miz, he played in the Pro-Am, the Travelers Pro-Am in Connecticut, and he played the year before I did, and everybody was telling me how bad he just stank it up. You know what I mean? He just went out there and crapped the bed really bad. You know what I mean? So I had to come out there and make up for what the Miz had the stitch that he had left behind. And I tell you, man, the year that I played in the Travelers, I shot a number, man. But I blew up around 12, and I started getting tired. But I tell you, it was one of my best rounds I think I've ever played.
Is this the one where you play with Kenny G?
Not Kenny G. Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
Yeah. Him and I, we did a little duet at the end of the round. You can check it out on YouTube. Booker T out on the golf links, just doing the thing. Yeah, I look good that day too.
Whatever happened to Maven? Because I thought Maven could have been the guy, man. I remember they even put not the guy, but a guy. You know, I remember they put him in. They gave him that big spot with the Undertaker in the Royal Rumble where he eliminated the Undertaker, and Undertaker brawled with him throughout the arena, and it felt like that was the start of what was going to be, you know, the Maven Renaissance, and he was going to start being like a roster guy that you saw in meaningful programs. Why didn't he connect and last, do you think?
Man, you know, especially with a name like Maven Huffman, you would have thought he would turn out to be pretty good.
His last name's Huffman? I didn't know that.
But
maybe that's why they're like, we can only have one of these guys on the roster. We can have two Huffman.
No, man, I always wondered about what happened with Maven as well. He was a good-looking guy. Seemed like a guy that was learning, you know, at a pretty strong pace. It seemed like he was surrounded by guys like myself and a lot of other great talent. So he definitely had, you know, something to, you know, a blueprint to learn from. I didn't see Maven being one of those guys that got a lot of heat or anything, but I'm really not sure why he didn't actually pan out. Why Maven is not still in the company today, because he's still a relatively young guy. But one thing about I call it the curse, the tough enough curse. You know, every time you know we get one of those guys, the last winner, you know, man, he fell off the blueprint. You know what I mean? He got down in NXT, big guy, yeah, exactly. And boom, everything just blew up. The guy that was runner up to him, you know, we thought he was going to do well also. Boom.
Was that Zeke? What was that guy's name?
ZZ.
ZZ? Was that
ZZ,
the guy?
No, not ZZ. ZZ just ZZ got cut and just happened to make it in there. But I can't remember he was a young guy, good-looking guy. He was from the New York, Jersey area, I think, and he was actually a pretty talented guy. But I don't know, man. It's just something about everybody. John Morrison, he's one of the guys who's come through tough enough.
Andy Rose was a tough enough.
Yeah. What's his name? Josh Matthews. You know, it's so many.
Like whoever wins is never the one, right? It's like someone else. Yeah.
It's normally like getting, you know, the poster. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, you get hurt before the big show. You know, something like that. So I don't know. That system, tough enough. It seemed like a great idea. Someone like the Ultimate Fighter. Out of the Ultimate Fighter, man, those guys, they got guys on the roster, you know, week in and week out, you know, that were made from that show. And you would think it would be abundance of guys out there that would have made it to the main roster by now, just made it on the show. But I think my thing is, I think the reason why we didn't have guys that made it to the next level is because all those guys were like newbies. They were like fresh off the street, trying to come in there and be professional wrestlers. I thought if we would have went to the indie world, grabbed the top indie talent, put those guys on television, and let those guys really go out there and perform, I think the cream would have really rose to the top, and we really could have got a chance to, create some stars that were already stars somewhat in their own right, but we would have had a chance to really get our hands on those guys and mold them into great WWE superstars. And I think it's still a lot of talent out there right now in the independent scene that, you know, should be getting a mention. You know, maybe that's something that we'll start doing here on the Hall of Fame is something that I always want to do on WWE Backstage. And that was talk about the indie world a whole lot more, you know, highlight, you know, those indie guys that's out there that's doing something that I think that they can make it to the next level. Just because I remember being one of those young guys once upon a time and seeing myself in the magazine for the first time, Booker T and Rogues Gallery, you know, potential up-and-coming talent. I remember the first time I saw my name mentioned in the PWI 500, and I was like, oh, man, I'm on my way. I got my mention, you know, and it made me, you know, buy Pro Wrestling Illustrated every month that it came out, just because I might see myself in there. And it's a lot of young guys that's out there on the independent scene right there. A lot of young talent out on the independent scene right now, just wishing they can get a rub from someone like Booker T. So I think that might be a segment we're going to start doing here inside the Hall of Fame every week, and that's profiling some young up-and-coming talent out there on the grind.
Yeah, I could dig that. We should do that. And, I mean, who better than you? You were at one point going to shows almost every weekend, seeing a lot of these guys like the Adam Coles of the world and saying, hey, just wait your turn, man. They're going to call you here soon enough. And I remember when we sat down with Adam Cole for WrestleMania Radio Row, you were like, I told you. Yeah. Just a matter of time.
There he is, man. I saw him, big smile on his face. But, hey, man, we got a whole lot to talk about. We got a whole lot to spread through this show, guys. So just stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. Just looking at that photo there throughout the commercial break, man. My beard was just growing, man. It looked like I had that 5 o'clock shadow, man.
Yeah, I mean, the shine, the gloss is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, man. I'm like Grizzly Adams right now, man. It's growing on. I mean, it's literally taking on its own form. And I'm going to just keep letting it grow, man. Just keep letting it do what it do, man. They say, man, right now in the pandemic era, everybody's letting theirs grow. But mine, I ain't cutting it once it's all over. I'm just going. You know what? I used to hate on James Harden all the time about the beard. But I got to give him props. I understand why now. It feels good. You know what I mean? It actually feels good when you're sleeping at night. I ain't got to worry about, the bump stopper, magic shave or any of that stuff anymore, man. I'm just going to let it ride from here on in, man. So, but it's good, man. It's good. Hey, man.
I want to say something though, real quick, because I remember people were talking about how your beard was reminding them of the Iron Sheik a couple weeks ago. Remember we were talking about that. And I don't know if you saw this meme that was going around yesterday of an Iron Sheik responded to it, and it caused a lot of consternation, but you were involved in this.
I saw that.
Did you see this? And here was the thing. It was, you're about to have a brawl and you can only bring 2 with you. And here were all the options. Iron Sheik said he could take all of y'all out. But I want to ask you, you were on this list of 17 guys, it looks like, of who would you want to back you up in a street fight? Who would your 2 be? If you had to take yourself out of it, who would your 2 people be out of this list that you'd want to have your back?
It'd probably be number 2, which is Ken Shamrock. I think that's who that is. Yeah. And number 10, Haku. The rest of them suckers, man. Mick Foley, I ain't never heard about him being in a fight. The Rock ain't. I've heard about him being in confrontation, never a fist fight or anything like that. Stone Cold Steve Austin, I never heard of him being in a fight. New Jack, I've heard of him being in several altercations. Yeah, just seen. I've never seen him think about a real fight or anything like that. Shawn Michaels, he's too pretty. He's a small guy. Rey Mysterio, I'm sure he's tough, and I'm sure he's got a shank somewhere in one of his pockets. So, but Ric Flair, another guy. I don't know about Ric Flair as far as how tough he is, from a fisticuff standpoint. Sting has never been a guy who wanted to be confrontational or thinking about throwing hands or anything like that. Triple H, you know what? I must say, I do believe Triple H is a tough guy, but I've never seen him in a real fight or anything like that. By his prowess in the ring, going out and performing, sometimes you can tell a whole lot just how a guy goes out and perform. Bobby Lashley, there again. Bobby's a tough guy.
MMA.
If it was a third guy that I could have, on my side going into a fight, it would be Bobby Lashley. The Undertaker, come on. Undertaker, he's Texas boy, Texas pride. You come from Texas, you know a little something about the scrap. You know what I mean? So Undertaker would be the 4th guy that would be riding. So that would be.
What about Hogan and Bret?
Hogan sucked as far as the fight go, and Bret Hart, you know what I mean? Bret, like I say there again, you can learn a lot about a guy just by the way he goes out and perform. Brett, I really feel like it's a guy who can handle himself if he was to actually get into a fight. But Brett ain't the type of guy that want to just bring confrontation. But if he have to defend himself, I see that's what Bret Hart is.
Okay, I like it. I like it. You were picked a lot though, but then Iron Sheik said he could take all y'all out.
Well, the thing is, man, you know, I don't put myself on a pedestal or anything like that as far as being a tough guy. All right, I ain't one of those guys to go out there and say I'll whoop this guy and I'll whoop that guy. But if we were to get into a fight, I'll probably whoop that guy and whoop that guy just because I know my limitations. One thing Clint Eastwood said in the movie back in the day, Dirty Harry, you know, a man got to know his limitations. That's me. You know what I mean? I know exactly how far I can go. Even right now at 55, I know I'll whoop a bulk of the roster right now in a real fight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Think so? Even at 55 years old? Some of those guys are pretty big, book.
Yeah. A lot of them are pretty big, man. But there again, man, I don't think I'm fooling myself or anything like that. But I know right now what my strength capabilities are. I can still go in the gym and rack 315 on the bench. You know, I'm still in the gym, you know, curling dumbbells, 50, 55s, you know, and I could do 100 push-ups straight right now. I'm hitting the bag all the time. I'm always, you know, just checking it and wondering where am I? You know what I mean? I don't feel like my body has went over the edge enough to where I can't go out there and defend myself on any given night occasion. I really think, and I'm hoping that I'm not just thinking that way. I'm always looking for a reason that I can be confrontational just so I can test myself. I'm always looking to check myself. I'm always looking to, you know, for somebody just to run up on me so I can, you know, see if they still work. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I ain't trying to cause no trouble out there. I ain't trying to stir the pot or anything like that. But 80 to 95% of the roster,
you could take them out.
I still take them suckers down.
They want to know, could you take Bray out? Bray Wyatt?
Bray Wyatt, man, I ain't trying to start nothing or anything like that, but you know, I really think in a contest, you know, and maybe I got to test myself. Maybe I do need to test myself. But I do think in a contest, I would be able to handle Bray Wyatt and put him in a place perhaps that he's never been before in his life.
Well, I know we got a lot on the docket, but we had a super chat come in that I want to just get to. Oh, this is from Aaron C. He said, Book, what are your thoughts about Matt Riddle beating AJ Styles in his Smackdown debut?
I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like it just because it wasn't going anywhere. It was just, you know, but then again, I understand the rub, okay? I do understand the rub. Guys getting the rub, you know, get in the ring with this guy, you know, you get a win, boom, it automatically, you know, puts you in the conversation. It automatically starts.
1, 2, 3 Kid and Razor Ramon back.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But that was a little bit different. This thing with Riddle and AJ Styles, I would have loved to have seen where it was going. I would have loved to have had a backdrop to it, leading to something other than him just coming in and getting a win over AJ. AJ is a guy who's definitely top billing. AJ is a guy who's earned that position. Nothing has been given to AJ Styles since coming to WWE. He's the guy that was a lot of people touted AJ Styles couldn't make it in the WWE. But he's proved everyone wrong. Riddle coming in, Riddle getting the rub. Like I said, I'm not against that. I just didn't like the way it was done with AJ Styles, a guy that's so hot right now. Even though AJ is going to be looked at as one of those guys to be able to go out there and make stars, get guys over, put guys in certain positions, just because he's such a great worker. AJ Styles, a loss to him for AJ Styles is nothing. No one's going to remember it. AJ and myself parallel those same lines. I never cared if I got beat because I was going to go out there and do something next week to make you forget all about it inside the square circle. We're going to see exactly how Matt Riddle pans out, and I hope Matt Riddle, make it on the main roster. But I also hope he get a pair of boots sometime within the next 365 days.
I knew that was coming. But, it kind of reminded me of when Kevin Owens first came into WWE as the NXT champion. He made that Raw debut and he powerbombed John Cena, and it sets up their match. And John Cena ends up losing to Kevin Owens on pay-per-view. Isn't that a similar thing? How are the two different, if at all?
Well, John Cena was in a position in his career to where he was getting ready to make a move and do other things to break. And Kevin Owens wasn't nothing against Matt Riddle or anything, but Kevin Owens had made a name out there on the circuit for many, many years. We all knew how good Kevin Owens was and is. And then for someone like John Cena to say, hey, man, I'm going to give you the rub. I'm going to put you in a position that no one else can put you in. That was a little bit different, but somewhat the same at the same time. So, like I say, taking nothing away from the win that Matt Riddle got, the loss that AJ Styles got on his record. No one's going to remember that or anything like that. But from here on out, Matt Riddle is going to have to go out there and do the same thing AJ Styles did when he first got into WWE, and that was go out there and earn it by going out there and performing each and every night, still in the show, wondering if them suckers in the back can go out there and follow that. And then next week, I'm going to do the same thing. And then I might be overseas and have to fly all the way back just because somebody else can't show up and go out there and perform at the highest level. That's the kind of guy AJ Styles is. And hopefully Matt Riddle rise to the occasion and become one of those guys in the locker room that we'll see one day giving someone the rub. Hey, guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. It's your boy Booker T along with Brad Gilmore. We just doing it big. ESPN 975. And throw that out there to my boy Patrick Crate. I know he's probably gonna be listening, so that's for you, Pat. That's for you, dog. This week, like I say, has been busy. The pandemic, we can't overlook what's been going on in the city of Houston. Numbers are spiking, going back up. The mayor has, shut down the bars again. The club scene is all shut down. I don't know about the beach, 4th of July coming up, but I'm sure that's going to have some backlash as well. Seemed like we trying to get a little bit of footing, and then next thing you know, we get the rug just snatched right out from under us. And everybody's talking about it, man. I've seen guys talking about it on social media, wrestlers. One guy, low key, was talking about, not wearing masks and whatnot. And my thing was, I always say, man, if I'm going to say something about somebody, I got to be willing to say it in their face. Who is low key? No, I'm just.
He's a guy that's been around for a while, right?
He's a guy that's been around for a while. But he's a guy that's never made it to a main event status. He's a guy that's never drew anybody any money. And I'm just wondering why on a lot of these social media sites they pick up what this guy say. Maybe just because it's causing a little bit of fire as far as people not wearing masks. I saw one of the guys, one of the Revival actually. Put out a tweet saying that, if it's going to help my 5-year-old daughter have a better life, if it's going to make me not getting someone else sick, it's worth it. And if none of that is true, what the hell? Only thing I did was wear a mask. It didn't hurt anybody.
That's my thoughts on it. Exactly.
And that's the part for me that I really don't understand. I know it's a red, blue, left, right thing, maybe. But people that do not take heed to the social distancing and guidelines of the CDC as far as this pandemic go, man, we're just making it worse, and we're just making it a much longer period before we can get back to what we love to do. I'm urging all you suckers, man, follow the guidelines. I'm ready to get back to Vegas. I'm ready to get back to fights. I'm ready to get back to the studio and do my thing. But we cannot do any of that as long as we continue to act like kids. That's what a lot of this seems to be to me. A lot of people acting like kids, like this is a game. Like your burger and your beer is more important than someone living, dying. Guys, we got to get past this stigma of if it's right or wrong to wear a mask because somebody else may be affected by it. And I know a lot of people, they say, oh, the hell with him, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We got our rights. I understand that. I want my rights back too. All right. Like I say, I haven't been on a plane in 3 months. I haven't been to California. I haven't been to Vegas. I've been nowhere but inside the confines of my own home pretty much. And if everybody think that this thing is going to just go away on its own, by osmosis, it's just going to disappear, they're wrong. So I urge you guys, let's do the right thing so we can all get back to work. We all losing money because of this right now. WWE backstage, boom, canceled. That's a check. That's a long green dollars, man, and it's gone because of what we're going through right now. I urge everybody, all my fans, all my supporters, everybody that listen to a little bit of what I say, man. Let's just try to do the right thing so we can all get our asses back to life.
Yeah, I'm with you. The not wearing the mask thing or being so against it, I really don't see the downside of it. It's just like, hey, okay, it might not be foolproof. It might not help at all. We don't know. I mean, but there's a chance that it does, and people are saying that it helps. So why not just do it? It's not that big of a deal. You wear it when you go to the grocery store. You wear it when you go fill up your gas tank. Wear it when you go into your office. It's just, it's a few minutes out of your day to wear this thing. It doesn't really bother me at all. It's like getting a vaccine. When you get a vaccine, it's not 100% that it's going to keep you from getting the flu, but it's got a good chance of keeping you from getting the flu. And then if you do, maybe it's not going to be as bad. So I just don't see why people are so against it. Like it's and the thing is, it's been politicized, and that's where everything always goes to hell. When it becomes like, oh, if you wear it, you're for this team. If you don't wear it, you're for this. When it gets to that level, that's when, you lose control of what its real purpose is. Its purpose is to protect you from others and others from you at the end of the day. And it's not a big deal to me.
I tell you, for the longest, man, I did not want to wear a seatbelt. All right. I rebelled. I was like, man, I ain't got to wear no seatbelt. And then I had kids. And I think I thought more about the seatbelt rule about them, because if I did crash, God forbid, and didn't have it on, and boom, I get killed, they're gonna be missing their dad forever. So I say, man, how selfish am I, to say, man, I'm uncomfortable wearing a seatbelt, something that may save my life and hopefully not let my kids see their dad in some box due to being stupid, due to being, irresponsible. You know what I mean? And I just think, man, I ain't trying to sell nobody on nothing or anything like that. But like I say, I want to get back to work. I want to get back to life. I want to be able to go to the beach. I haven't been to anywhere to sit and have a cold beverage, hang out with my boys or anything. And it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to do that anytime soon. Football, getting ready to kick back off, with no fans. Basketball kicking off with no fans. Baseball. I mean, what kind of life do we see ourselves living if this is the way we're going to have to live life because of something like this pandemic? Because I don't think it's, like I say, responsible for anyone to go out there and think life is back to normal like it was, and we just can go on out there and say, hey, it's all good. I just urge people to, like I say, think about their fellow man.
And this is actually to people in my age group, their 20s and 30s. The hospitalization rate here in Houston in the ICU of 20 and 30-year-olds has skyrocketed. So this is, first we thought, I was one of them. It's like, oh, this is a disease for older people. Like me, if I get it, I'll be all right. It won't be a big deal. So, I'll be cool. And then when you hear stuff like that more 20 and 30-year-olds are getting, some are dying from it, it makes you go, okay, hey, guys, whoa, just because you're young and your immune system might be a little stronger doesn't mean that you're immune to this. Doesn't mean that you're going to be able to walk away scot-free. So just be mindful. Social distance, wash the hands. They're not asking a lot. You know what I mean? It's like, so wash your hands, which you're supposed to do anyway. Stay 6 feet away from people and wear a mask. I mean, if we can do that, hopefully this works. And then by the end of the year, the Fauci is saying we're going to have a vaccine. I'm going to trust in the Fauci and hope that the man is right and that we can get this thing and then get back to work in 2021.
Man, when this thing first started, man, I definitely didn't think it was going to last this long. I thought it was going to be something that was going to be over with pretty quick. But I remember the basketball player, wasn't it Rudy Gobert?
Yeah.
I remember when he took the podium and just gave everybody, and then next thing he was one of the first guys to test positive. The first guy in basketball to test positive for this. And then I was just looking on the news today. 3 months later, he say he's still not over it. He say he still has zero smell. He says his taste has come back a little bit. We don't know the true side effects and the long-term effects of this virus. So I don't care how old you are or how young you are. You don't want to get it if you can definitely avoid it. Because I know I've been doing everything I possibly can. I had a little, last week I didn't feel too good. So I better go get tested. It's just one of those things, man, where I really think we need to, take this thing a little bit more serious, and I think we can get past this. But it's like they say, and it's true. We are all in this thing together, and the only way we're going to get out of it is together. And I was looking at some of the bars here in Houston that they were just showing on the news today, man. It was frightening that everybody is just, it's like, I was talking to one of my guys just last week, and I said, man, we can't do this. We can't do this, we're social distancing, because of the pandemic. And you know what he said? We're not social distancing. I'm like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? You're an idiot. You know what I mean? Back up 6 feet from and put some over your mouth. But I tell you, man, irresponsibility, people thinking and talking like that is the reason why we're in this the way we are right now, and we're still trying to dig ourselves out of this hole. And me personally, I just want everybody to be safe. We've lost 125,000 souls over the last 3 months. And if anyone would have said at the beginning of the year, hey guys, it's random, 125,000 of you are going to die within the next 3 months if you don't stay in the house, I think that right there would have told people this is serious. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. Hey, little programming note. On Wednesday, we're going to have Edge, rated R superstar, on the show, talking about a new movie that he has coming out, Money Train.
Money Plane.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Money Train, the movie. Yeah, but Money Plane. You don't want to miss it. The interview that we're going to have with Edge. Good friend of mine, WrestleMania moment, myself and Edge. And we're definitely going to talk about that. Talk to another one of my friends, Ric Flair. Ric Flair is going to be on the show here over the next week or so as well. Trying to get that boy CM Punk, man. I've been putting out fillers, man, to try to get CM Punk inside the Hall of Fame. We got to talk about what made CM Punk want to go to the UFC, man. What made CM Punk want to live out the ultimate dream in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. We definitely got to talk about that right there, man. And that's something that I've been wanting to know for quite some time. Over the weekend, we had some awesome fights that went down as well. ESPN,
including one of CM Punk's former opponents, Mickey Gall.
Yeah, that right there, man. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it for a second, man. Let's talk about UFC that went down this weekend. Mike Perry, man. Mike Perry, Mickey Gall. Let's start right there.
Okay.
Mike Perry is a guy that I must say I got nothing but the utmost respect for. For a brother who going into a serious fight like this one, going into combat, and to not have any of his cornermen or anything like that was something that I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to work out. This is definitely an experiment that Mike Perry is trying out. Now, I was looking at last week, actually, and they were talking about the build up to this fight. And he was talking about he wasn't going to have anybody in this corner but his girl, and he's like, what's she like? You know what I mean? That's, and as far as MMA goes, he goes, well, she's just a little, peanut butter cup. You know what I mean? But he was so cool with it. And he said anybody who deserved to be there at the dance front row, it was her. What experience she had? She got, a little bit of experience. She wrestled in high school, and I take that. That means that she knows a little bit.
Something. Yeah, okay.
She knows something. I mean, you ask most people, have they wrestled in high school? The majority is going to say no. You know what I mean? You ask me if I wrestled in high school. No, you know what I mean? I didn't, so for her to have just that little bit of a background, that little bit of knowledge, taking into a fight like this, hey, it can't be that bad. They always say, man, you prepare for the fight before the fight. So when the fight comes, you should know exactly what route you're going to take. It impressed me also, Mike Perry say, around the third round, I heard his corner, tell him to do this and tell him to do this. I kind of keyed and picked up on that. Yeah, exactly. I figured out what they was telling him, And for Mike Perry to go out there and pull that win out of the hat like that, big ups. Mickey Gall was on a high, as far as going into this fight, saying that, Mike Perry was nothing more than a street fighter, and he. Mickey Gall himself being a mixed martial artist, and that's where, at the end of the day, what's going to be the difference. But one thing about a fight, man, you can't judge the size of the heart in a man when it comes to winning and losing. And Mike Perry seemed like more than anything, it just seemed like he wanted that fight more than Mickey Gall.
I thought that going into it, I was actually looking at the Vegas odds going into all these fights, and I saw that Mike Perry was a pretty healthy favorite. I think he was like a minus 325 or something like that against Mickey Gall being a plus 225, and they said it was from the stand-up game. So I was expecting Mickey to do what a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would do, and that's take this man to the ground, wear him out, stretch him for 3 rounds. You know what I mean? Take home that dub. You don't have to tap him, but just win the rounds. And I thought that he was going to be able to do that with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Obviously, you and I have talked to Mickey several times, so I was kind of pulling for him anyway. And he tried to stand up with him, which I thought was just an odd strategy. Now, I will say, Mickey was landing some good shots. And in that first round, he had a lot of good footwork. He was moving side to side. He was keeping the distance. He was setting the pace of the fight. But you could tell, especially when it got into that third round, he was out of gas. Mike Perry just put hands on him and wore him down. And anytime Mickey tried to go for the takedown, Perry had great takedown defense. So what he lacked as a technical mixed martial artist, he more than made up for being a street fighter. This guy knew what he was doing. He went out there and he put hands on the man.
He was stronger. Than Mickey Gall, and that's my the point I wanted to make more than anything is for us. Got a young guy like Mickey Gall, looking for a fight. Dana White looking for a fight. Made the big call out to CM Punk, put himself on the map, went out there and got the victory in that fight, which even catapulted the rise of Mickey Gall even more, and then the Sage Northcutt victory, big victory over Sage Northcutt. That was almost a battle of the young guys. So that his stock went up even more. It definitely can give you that false sense of security as far as, Mickey Gall actually really thinking that one day he could be the UFC champion in that division. And I wonder, what's Mickey Gall's thought process now after Diego Sanchez after this, and it's not going to get any easier. I always talk about, the CC plus B plus, the AA plus fighter, and then you got the E fighter, which is the elite, the extraordinary. You know what I mean? Do you think Mickey Gall still think that one day he could actually be UFC champion in that division?
Well, I think the thing that he has going for him more than anything is that he's still relatively young. I think he's 27 years of age. It still has a lot, left.
That's pretty old. That's pretty old for a fighter. Go ahead.
Not when you have Daniel Cormier going in to fight for the heavyweight championship and he's 41, 42.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the leap that Mickey Gall is going to have to make from 27 to 35. Okay, that's where Mickey Gall's window is right now. At 27, at 35, he's going to be on the downside of his career. Do you think Mickey Gall can make that leap to championship quality fighter within this period of time? I don't think so. Not by looking at Mickey Gall go out and fight the way he did just a couple of nights ago. I just don't see that jump and scale from fighters in the UFC. I just don't. Daniel Cormier was a guy that has been fighting pretty much his whole life, and then fought in other organizations and won in other organizations. He never been the guy that were you thought he was going to win or lose in a fight. You always thought, man, Daniel Cormier is going to win this fight until he fought a guy like John Jones. That was it.
Yeah. No, and the thing is this about Mickey is the only reason I said he's 27 and that's relatively young. I'm saying that, you've still got some wiggle room to improve, because I think that one thing I did see in this fight was that Mickey's stand-up looked better than it had in years past, right? He was known just for the guy who's going to take you down and try to stretch you or do what he did to CM Punk or do what he did to Sage Northcutt, do what he did to Mike Jackson. But his stand-up, to me, it looked better. I thought in that first round, they were both trading pretty well. Sure, Mike Perry was hitting him hard. I thought that Mickey was doing a lot of great things in the stand-up game, so he had gotten better in his striking. Can he make that huge leap to championship material? It's a big if. It's a big ask, right? I think a lot of that has to be innate. You have to have that DNA of being a champion before you can actually be one. You can't just go out there and get a little bit better every fight and be thinking you're going to be a champion. You're going to have to make a big leap and a big dedication. I don't know if that's changing his whole fight camp, if it's going somewhere else, but he's got a lot of rough edges he would have to round out in order to climb up the ranks. And by the way, either the first or second most competitive division in the UFC. It's not like he's fighting in the flyweights or the bantamweights where there's like four guys. You know what I mean? He's fighting at 170. 170. That's like Murderer's Row is 170 and 155. Those are the two hardest divisions in the UFC today. And I think that Mickey Gall, it'd be a rough go for him to get to like a Kamaru Usman level, even a Colby Covington level, a Jorge Masvidal level. It's a big leap. It's a real big leap.
Well, I just think he has no wiggle room as far as options to routes to the next level. He really don't. He's in a position now where he's just gonna have to wonder, if this. I really feel this way. This is something Mickey Gall gonna have to really wonder if this fight thing is really for him, because all those guys you just named right there, I think it's years before Mickey Gall get to that level, if he ever makes it to that level. And there's so many guys in the UFC. Just think about it. So many guys in the UFC. Let's look at Diego Sanchez, who fought for many, many years to never, ever become champion. And that's a guy who pretty much ran through Mickey Gall. So you got to wonder, where is his routes to championship going to be? And me personally, I just don't see him. Hey, guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. Back. Hey man, talking about UFC went down this weekend. Great fights. Just mentioned Mickey Gall as far as what's next. What is next for Mickey Gall?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it's. Let me ask you this, because we see this sometimes with fights. I was just looking at Mickey's. I was looking at his resume as far as fights go, and he kind of seems to be on one of these win-loss kind of things, right? I mean, he beats CM Punk, he beats Sage Northcutt, loses to Randy Brown, which we know he's really setting the world on fire. Then he beats George Sullivan, loses to Diego Sanchez, beats Salim Turari. I don't know how you say his last name. I'm sorry. And then he loses to Mike Perry. There's not a lot of high quality, high caliber names on that list. Obviously you recognize CM Punk, Sage Northcutt had a good go of it. But what I'm saying is he's not beating a lot of guys in his division. And when you see people on this trajectory, they normally do one thing. They try to move up in weight. Do you think that could be something that Mickey should do? Maybe 180 pounds, middleweight, a division that's competitive, but not as competitive. Again, you're going to have to fight guys like Paulo Costa, which I don't know if Mickey's big enough to fight, or Yoel Romero, or Izzy. Izzy, body style, they're similar. But I just don't know. I don't know what to do. Because I like Mickey. I think he's a talented guy. I don't see a direct path to a championship. And I just see 170 being so crowded and 155 being killers. So I just don't know what he could do in order to continue on a path of success in the UFC.
No, I don't see a path, to be honest. I like Mickey Gall as well. He's a friend of the show. He's a good kid. He seemed like, that Jersey boy who just want to have fun, but as far as the fight game go, a lot of times it ain't fun. I watch females such as a Paige Van Zandt. I kind of like put her in that same trajectory as a Mickey Gall, someone who, she looked good. They put her out there, and she had a few fights, was on a winning streak. And then, next thing they put her in there with someone who could really fight. And next thing exactly. Then you go, wow. Rose Namajunas, she's nowhere near that level. I mean, she just got beat up. And the same thing is happening with Mickey Gall. We saw what happened with Paige Van Zandt. She totally regrouped and say, let me go do some acting, some modeling.
Well, she's been fighting here, in 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, but I think that's just to,
it's the last fight of her contract.
Exactly. I think that's just to make sure that she keep the Instagram clicks going as well. You know what I mean? You got to,
I knew it was over for Paige, though, the fighter, whenever she named her finish.
What was it called?
The 12 gauge.
No, that was her name.
No, but she named her finish the 12 gauge, too.
Oh, the big kick?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was what she called it.
Oh man, but I don't know, man. Mickey Gall, I hope we see Mickey Gall again, but me personally, I just don't think Mickey Gall have that window or that time left in a career to make it to champion in that division or a division a little bit higher. And we know he can't cut weight and get smaller. That ain't about to happen, So another fight, man.
By the way, her finish was actually called "Kick the Can." I'm sorry.
I thought her name was 12 Gauge. 12 Gauge, man. Said, I don't know why they should have called her ass Bop Gun.
Well, we'll see what she can do on fight.
Yeah. But another fight, Mo Green, Marie Green, John Vellante. John Vellante making his professional heavyweight debut.
I could see it.
And I swear, man, that brother had a barrel on him, man. Yeah, he had a huge barrel on him.
Bad bod of the century.
But he still had skills. He still had fighting skills.
He was winning. He won the fight up until like the last couple seconds. Yeah.
I
never seen anything like that.
I just don't know what happened right there. Mo Green got the choke from the bottom, kind of like that squeeze that the Russian would put on you. You know what I mean? And it came out of nowhere. I swear, man. After I saw him go down on his back and he took shots, I leaned back and I just went, "Oh man, it's over, man." And then next thing you know, I hear, "No, what's up? No, what's up?" And I'm like, "What the hell happened?" But the brother pulled off the big win. It definitely came out of nowhere. But what was more striking to me, what was more eye-opening for me was the after-fight interview with John Anik. Man, the brother, he couldn't compose himself for quite some time. He had tears, and they were real tears, man. You could tell when somebody cried, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those kind where you nothing comes out. You just know you. And somebody come out later, but it's gonna take a while. And I was like, man, this brother is really, really emotional. But it showed me more than anything, man, that this thing is serious as far as from one day to the next, as far as these guys keeping their livelihood, especially like right now in a pandemic era, like we're going through right now. This brother said he was on a two fight skid, and he don't know if he would have lost this fight that he probably was going to be out of the UFC. He said, "Man, I'm the breadwinner in my family, and I'm the one who got to go out and make the bread. I'm the one who got to keep everything on track." Man, that is so much pressure for these guys going out there and having to perform, but not just perform, but they got to win in order to keep that gravy train rolling. Yeah. Mo Green, 30-30, he made $60,000 for that fight right there. He said he was picking up his family, packing up everything, moving to get to a fight camp where he could actually start, thinking about really what's next and then what's next after that and how long I could parlay this fight thing into green dollars. That right there, man, spoke volume to me. Mike Perry at the end of the fight, he said, "Man, I ain't trying to ask for more money, but I want the government, to stop taking so much of it."
You want to work out a contract with you. He will pay his taxes.
When Mike Perry get paid, you get paid. And that right there, man, that's the most striking part for me as far as the fight game, especially at a time like this. $60,000 for a fight, a UFC fight. That's really not a lot of money at all.
It's not.
That's not a lot of money at all. I mean, literally, that's about 3 months when you look at it, when you break it down in real terms. Because that $60,000, Uncle Sam got his piece, cut corner man, trainers, they got their piece, nutritionists, whatever, they got their piece. I got my piece left at the end of the day. I got my mortgage. Okay. Well, he's getting ready to move from somewhere. Maybe he got a rent. Okay. Maybe he don't have a mortgage, but definitely he going to have rent somewhere. He got to make sure you take care of, eating. He got to take care of, the light bill, of the phone bill, the cell phone, all of this, car note. That $60,000 at the end of the day is not a whole lot of money. It's not any money to think about, retiring on anytime soon. How serious do you think that is, man, as far as these fighters go? Because we can run down a list of, what guys made. I know we got about another minute or so before we got to take a break, but we definitely could talk about how much money that was paid out, in this fight night. But like I say, $60,000, not a lot of money, a lot of pressure.
You could see the pressure all over Green's face, especially in that post-fight interview. And it just goes to what the conversation has been lately regarding the UFC fighters. And I have a solution. I have a solution for the UFC fighter pay. I know how these guys can get more money. I figured it out over the weekend book. I was thinking, and I figured it out.
What is it?
So the Reebok deal is over, right? The Reebok deal, I think, is over on the 1st of July. It's done with, right? Bring back the sponsored shorts. Let the fighters sell sponsorships back on their shorts again, right? Because I know that at one point that was a lucrative source of income for a lot of these fighters. And if they could go back and sell their own sponsors again, they could really help with some of that disparity in pay and not worry about a $2,500 check from Reebok. That's just what I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, it would definitely make these guys' lives a whole lot easier. And I think, UFC, they're making enough money as it is, and to take away money from these guys that they could be making, say, on the side. I just don't think it's right, man. I think those guys, they should be getting paid more. And if you can't pay me more, give me a chance to, put myself out there to make more money on my own. It's there to be made, but you got to sign off on it. And I think that's a good idea. Hey, guys, stick around. We got a whole lot more for you. Back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. It's your boy Booker T, 6-time world champ, Brad Gilmore, the boat. Always just selling all over the world, baby, all over the world. Hey, man. But nah, man, we're just talking about Mo Green, 30-30, and just talking about in general the pay scale for a lot of these fighters, man, that's going out there putting everything on the line. And I wouldn't say not getting rewarded for it, because $60,000, any way you look at it, it's a nice little chunk of change. Right. But in the grand scheme of things, as far as the fight game goes, it's not a whole lot of money at all. We were talking about guys like Jorge Masvidal right now saying, "Hey, man, we got to look at this, man, because I should be getting paid more money." And the thing is, he should be getting paid more money. You sent me a thing earlier, and I saw it actually on social media earlier this week, where Mike Tyson said John Jones got to fight him if he want to make any money and think about retiring. That's a sad thing to say. When John Jones, in order for John Jones to make an exorbitant amount of money at one time to where he could take off like Conor McGregor forever, he would have to fight someone like Mike Tyson. I mean, what Mike is saying is it's true. I have a
clip here if you want me to run it real quick of Mike.
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, so this was Mike Tyson talking about the UFC pay disparity. Here we go. Play it right here. Give me one. Okay, well now I'm having issues.
See that?
Okay, I was working here a minute ago.
Told me you can run it, and then all of a sudden you get me out here, and next thing you know, bam, nothing. You know, you ain't got nothing. But no. But my thing is,
here we go.
Now listen to this, right? UFC is more popular than boxing, right? Got higher ratings, right? Right?
Yes.
But the UFC will never be richer than a first-class fighter.
That's true. It's true. It's evident. It's evident. You see the person that Floyd is commanding.
Make $100 million, Conor had to fight Floyd.
Right.
Wow. Who if he fight John Jones, he's not going to get that.
Yeah. True.
In the UFC. If he fight John Jones got to fight me. He wants to make some money, super money.
I mean, and it's facts too. What he's saying. I appreciate his co-host there, but I mean, yeah, he's saying that the UFC, even though it's a more popular sport right now, it's more popular than boxing. The boxers are still making hundreds of millions of dollars.
yeah, it's a structure there, man. Floyd Mayweather definitely cashed in by creating his own entity, his own platform to be able to go out there and promote himself. All of the money, all of the revenue comes to him. He put a lot into becoming that. The UFC, just like Mike said, they're getting higher ratings. When you wonder, they're getting higher ratings, there should be higher revenue coming in as well, or just as much. And you wonder why the fighters don't get the big paydays like boxers do. For John Jones to be the top draw in that sport right now, outside of Conor McGregor, and for him to be talking about money, and the thing is, I'm sure John Jones, the money that we see, perhaps that he's getting on paper, he probably getting more than that. I've heard all kind of rumor about John Jones making upward the $3 million a fight.
Pay-per-view bonuses and stuff like that. Right?
It's exactly, and that's really good money. But compared to these boxers, that's second-rate money. That Leo Santa Cruz making way more money than that for a fight. So it just makes you wonder, when are these guys going to start getting paid? I feel like what they're worth. When is the money going to start trickling down? And why is the pay scale such as to what it is right now? Because, like I say, there again, on this fight, the lowest payout was like $24,000, Tanner Bozier. And that right there, for me, is like $20,000 to fight someone of this magnitude. It boggles the mind. The highest paid fighter in this on that card was in the main event, of course. Dustin Poirier, he made $300,000 for that fight. And the thing is, what's crazy is it was 150 and 150.
Yeah.
So you got to win. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It ain't about just, you guys being on the card and you're gonna get paid this amount. You're gonna get paid this amount. You're gonna get paid this amount. But if you win, you get paid this amount. But if you lose, you're only gonna get paid this. That right there is almost like dangling a carrot in front of a horse and saying, keep running until you get there. And in that sense, you're never going to get there. $300,000 is a lot of money, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, Dustin Poirier fought his ass off for that $300,000. And there again, at the end of the day, that $300,000 still not enough money for what I saw inside that octagon on Saturday night.
Yeah, if y'all didn't see the Hooker Poirier main event, I mean, I didn't know how that thing lasted 5 rounds. It looked like after 2, it was going to end, right? I mean, they were hitting each other so hard. They're wearing it both on their face, bloody, beat up, torn. And I get performance incentives in sports. I mean, they're in all kinds of sports. Hey, and even in the workplace, if you do this, if you meet this goal, yeah, you're gonna get a little X amount more. But just to think about the amount of damage that Dustin Poirier in his career, this guy's had at least 36 fights, if not more.
Yeah.
And the amount of abuse that he has put on his body for $300,000, really only $150,000 guaranteed. Yeah, sure, it's a lot of money, but guess what? When you have one of those wars, because we haven't seen him in 9 months, he had this war with Hooker. We're not going to see him again for another 9 months.
Yeah.
So that $300,000 after Uncle Sam takes 40% or 35% is only going to last him for so long, and he's going to have to force himself to come back and fight sooner than he needs to just to be able to make up the difference. It's crazy.
And coming off of a 9-month layoff from hip surgery, torn labrum, and then to come back and put in this kind of work, man, that was a lot of work. I have to go back and, rest up and recruit. And you could tell Dustin Poirier is one of those guys right now that's thinking, man, how much left I got? How much time I got left in this? You could tell he's thinking that right now. He's a guy also, he knew that fight was his career being on the line as well, because Dan Hooker was looking to step in that position and keep running. Dan Hooker's been on a 4-fight win streak. Actually, Paul Felder, Aquinta, James Vick. He lost one fight, Barbosa, in between. But another guy that he has on his list is Gilbert Burns, a guy who's getting ready to fight for the championship. So Dan Hooker, even though he was the underdog going into that fight, a lot of people thought Dan Hooker was going to win. A lot of people were touting Dan Hooker to win that fight, and they thought he was going to win it big. Everyone thought that except Dustin Poirier. He's the guy who threw the monkey in the wrench and said, no, I'm not ready to lay it down right now. And to watch this man get beat for 2 rounds and then strategize. I mean, at the end of the second round, he got hit with a shot where the fight was almost over, that close. Maybe 30 seconds more, definitely could have been a different fight.
Yeah.
But for him to suck it up, round 3, 4, and 5, just showed you championship material, championship quality. And I remember at the end of the fight when they were calling it, and they said, after this 5-round fight, Dustin Poirier looks up and goes, 5. You're like, yeah, you can say whatever you want to say, 1, 2, but 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-round fight. And man, to watch that young man go out there and fight the way he did, I give him huge props for going out there and pulling it off. Louisiana boy, we've been watching Dustin Poirier for quite some time, ever since the beginning. He wasn't one of those, Ultimate Fighter guys. He was one of these guys that just fought literally on the circuit and made his way from the circuit all the way to champion in the UFC and trying to crawl and scratch his way back to championship again. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Dustin Poirier. Watched this kid grow over the years to the point to where his cauliflower ears just keep getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, man, you gotta love what you do to put yourself through something like that. So yeah.
Who would you match him up against next after he heals up? I mean, we're at 155. He's trying to get back there in title contention. Do you do a Conor McGregor rematch? Do you do Tony Ferguson maybe when they're both healthy? What would you suggest would be the next good fight for Dustin Poirier?
Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor sounds good to me, man. You know what I mean? Because to be redeemed, I think is what he definitely is deserving of having redemption with that fight against Conor McGregor. I just don't think he was ready for what happened that night. But to see Dustin Poirier now seasoned the way he is, man, I definitely would be in this corner if that fight was to happen. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back in the Hall of Fame, y'all. We just talking UFC Fight Night. Went down just this weekend on on ESPN. It was a night, man. It was a night of fights, a night of blood and guts. Like you said earlier, bruised, battered, and torn. I loved it, man. I loved it. Dan Hooker, like I say, had to take a step back. Dustin Poirier is going to move on. And like I said, I can't wait to see what's next from Dustin Poirier. But like you say, I think it's going to be a while before we see Dustin Poirier back inside the octagon again. Doesn't seem like he's going to be rushing back to do anything anytime soon. But the gravy train don't stop, man. The show must go on. And I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in a few weeks with Gilbert Burns and
Kamaru
Usman, man. That's going to be I'm wondering about that fight, man. I'm wondering exactly how that was going to go because, Gilbert Burns, he's a guy he's got 5-7 losses on his record. He's not
an unbeatable.
He's not a guy that's unbeatable or anything like that. But it seemed like over the last few, he's grown. It seemed like all of a sudden, boom, the light bulb went off. You know what I mean? It seemed like somebody, gave him that little extra button to kick in when he needed. And now it seems like he's a totally different fighter. Kamaru Usman coming off of huge win, perhaps the biggest win of his career. I'm just wondering, from a technical standpoint, do Usman match up? Burns looked like he has something like that little extra that he's going to be bringing into this fight, especially from a stand-up perspective. I'm talking about from a stand-up. I don't know what's going to happen if they go to the ground, just because, man, we know how strong Usman is. Usman is a monster on the ground. I mean, he proved that with Woodley, but as well, Gilbert Burns don't seem like he's a slouch anywhere the fight goes. So I'm just wondering how this fight is going to play out. And people say, man, who you got? I honestly don't know who I got in that fight. It's definitely a pick'em fight.
You got to always kind of err on the side of the champion most times, especially with Gilbert Burns' record. But the thing that Gilbert has going for him more than anything is momentum, right? I mean, this is a guy who's coming off of a fight fresh, beating the former champion of the world, right? In Tyron Woodley, went 5 rounds. So this tells him 2 things. One, I can go the distance if I have to against a great guy who's a good striker and a really great wrestler. I can go 5 rounds with him if I have to. And 2, I can beat somebody that's world championship material. And then you have to ask yourself the question, if you're Gilbert Burns, who in their prime was better, Kamaru Usman or Tyron Woodley? Tyron Woodley did hold that championship for a mighty long time. He was a very, very good champion. Kamaru Usman has had 1 defense in a near 5-round decision, but he got Colby Covington there in the end of the 5th, right? Toward the end of the 5th. Yeah. So if I'm Gilbert Burns, I'm probably feeling pretty confident, after that win. And then I think about this. What do you say, Book, all the time? Time off, worst enemy. Kamaru Usman took a pretty good beating himself in that Colby Covington fight and has been sitting on the sidelines for almost 8 months by the time they're going to fight, 7.5, 8 months. It's a long time for a fighter to be off. Who knows how his training routine has been impacted with, the pandemic? Has he been getting the same reps in the gym as he always has? Did he take it a little bit easy after the Colby Covington fight? These are all questions that we don't know the answer to that we're going to find out on July the 11th. But if I'm Gilbert Burns, I like my positioning here.
Yeah, I mean, I like his positioning as well. Kind of like you're talking about Tyron Woodley and how he did kind of like explode and get to the top. It was after, he fought a guy who was champion that had been through wars, and Robbie Lawler, and he just happened to catch him, caught him at the right time. You know what I mean? Oh, man, it was perfect timing for him. Guy, you say, man, how many times can one guy push himself to rise to the occasion? Right now, Usman, he's been through his last 2 fights. It's been wars. It's been no easy routes for Kamaru Usman. And the thing is, you say, man, how long can a guy keep pushing himself through training camp to get himself to that level to get ready for that next, big fight like that, especially with a guy like Gilbert Burns. And when we talk about Gilbert Burns, one thing you gotta mention, you cannot look past it first. And that's when a guy is hungry. And I'm not talking about hungry for a championship or anything like that. I'm talking about putting food on the table. I'm talking about eating a meal every night and eating what you want to eat. And you finally get to that point one day, you say, hey, when I make it, I'm going to eat steak every night. I'm going to eat lobster and shrimp. And that right there, you got to be in that position to understand what that really means. And I say that because I remember telling myself, I say, when I get grown, I'm gonna eat whatever I want to eat. I'm serious. I say I'm never catching a bus ever again. I'm gonna have more cars than I can, think of, because I used to have to catch the bus every week. I used to have to catch 2 and 3 buses. And now in my adult life, I say I will never, ever catch the bus ever again. And that's what Gilbert Burns is right now. He's at the threshold to where it could go from Spam to filet mignon overnight. And that right there, man, that's a hard meal right there to look over and say, man, which one do you want? Which one do you want? You want Spam? Or you want the filet mignon with the lobster tail, So That's what Gilbert Burns is right now, man. And that's the scary part for Kamaru Usman, because Usman, man, he's made a little scratch. You know what I mean? He's got those golden slippers when he wake up in the morning. You know what I mean? He wake up, got the big screen TV probably. You know what I mean? The pool outside. So right now he's had a taste. And when you got that guy that's hungry, say, look, man, this is my time. All right, you had your time. You've been eating and having a good time and partying. I want some of that too, bro. You know what I mean? This is my turn. And don't think that when me as a young guy, a lot of the old guys on the roster, I wasn't saying, look, man, your time is up. Like when John Cena came in, your time is up, my time is down. That was real, man. That was real as it possibly could be. Every young dog want to challenge the old dog. Every young lion want to challenge the old lion. So I don't think this is no different, man. That young lion in this fight is going to be Gilbert Burns, man. I'm just wondering if Kamaru Usman is going to have enough to hold him off, to tame him just a little bit, so I can get you in a position to where I can walk you to the promised land, take you where I want you to go, take you in the deep waters, draw him in, draw him, like he said on the movie Jaws.
We're gonna need a bigger boat. That's yeah. I mean, I agree with what you're saying about Gilbert Burns too, because I remember a Jay-Z lyric where he said, once you've had filet mignon, it's hard to go back to hamburger helper, but it's your choice though, baby. And right now it's Gilbert Burns' choice. Does he want to eat filet for the rest of his life, or does he want to go back to the hamburger helper? I guess we'll see on July the 11th. It's going to be, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that whole card, but that's the fight that you tune in to Fight Island for.
Yeah, man. You know what, man? I don't think they've been doing enough build up on Yaz Island either, man. We ain't seen enough of it. I mean, I want to see what it looked like. I want to see, they could have some women mocked on the beach walking around, you know what I mean? I'm talking about they could have some hula girls and going on and whatnot. And we ain't seen enough of the promotion as far as Yaz Island going, what we're actually going to get, when perhaps one day coming to Yaz Island, because I'm planning on getting me a ticket. Once this pandemic all over with, and we can get back on we could be there for this next deal, man, if it wasn't for all this going on.
Yeah, they did tweet out. Dana White did tweet out a picture of it yesterday, of Yaz Island. I don't think this is the actual arena but this is what it's looking like so far. Do you see that? So this, I believe, is the practice octagon on the beach of Yaz Island. That picture doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for me, but that's a little bit that we
They
see.
could be they could be in India.
Now, there's also, have you seen the mock-up of what the arena is going to look like?
It looked like almost like the Punjabi prison match.
Well, I guess I kind of see that, I guess, yeah.
That's what I thought the first time I saw it. I was like, wait a minute, is Kali got anything to do with this? This looked like the Punjabi prison match. You know, that's from the build-up when they was building it. That's exactly what I thought it was, man. Yeah, Punjabi.
The mock-up of the arena.
That ain't the way it looked on the outside, but I take that, man. That's cool.
Yeah, looks better. Looking better.
Hey, man, that's Ass Island, man. I can't wait. I wish I was there anyway, but guys, stick around. We still got a whole lot more for you. Back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Getting close to wrapping this thing up. We're getting close, getting real close, but we still got a whole lot more for you, man. Just talking about Yaz Island. Hopefully we can get there sometime soon, man, because I'm really wondering, man, what the whole feel is like over there on the island doing it. That's somewhere. That's in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, it's off the shore of Abu Dhabi.
You know, I've been to Abu Dhabi, so I pretty much know, the surroundings and everything, the layout of the land.
A lot of good views.
Not really.
No.
You know what I mean? When I like the song, I can't remember who it was, but one of the hooks was, I go to Abu Dhabi for a hobby. You know which one I'm talking about? That sucker must ain't never been to Abu Dhabi. Because he damn sure ain't no hobby.
Maybe you got to mix up with Dubai. Maybe he was just trying to mix up with Dubai.
I'm serious.
He thought it was the same thing.
I'm like, wait a minute, he must ain't never been to Abu Dhabi because he ain't seeing nothing. You know what I mean? It's beautiful and all, but that's about it. Everything's manicured.
Yeah,
that's about it. But
hey, I got to ask you though about one of the. I see a couple of people in our comment section asking about it, and it was one of the bigger stories from the weekend in wrestling. You were pretty critical about Tessa Blanchard winning the Impact Wrestling World Championship a few months ago, and it was announced over the weekend, prior to their big Slammiversary show, that she has been released from her contract.
Yeah.
She's no longer with Impact Wrestling. She said that the rumor is that she refused to travel from Mexico, where she's staying right now, into the United States with fear that she couldn't get back home afterward. And then some promos were asked to be filmed that she failed to send in. So Impact Wrestling cut ties with their world champion, Tessa Blanchard. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I was never critical of Tessa Blanchard.
You're critical of the decision.
I was critical of Impact decision to actually do something like that because they backed themselves into a corner. I just didn't think it was smart business for Tessa Blanchard to make her have to live up to something like that. Just wasn't right. On no frame, no form was it right for the company or for Tessa Blanchard. I just didn't think it worked out for her. But I think very highly of Tessa Blanchard and what she's built as a performer. I mean, Tessa Blanchard put herself on the map as being Impact's #1 superstar.
Yeah.
The best in the business. She's the best in our company. That's what they thought about her. So for her to actually do that says, man, she's doing a hell of a job as going out there and obviously performing and promoting herself very well. Now, the name, Tessa Blanchard, man, that's money. We can do something with this anywhere in the world. Tessa Blanchard, she's a catch in anybody's company if they can get her right now. WWE picked Tessa Blanchard up, along with Charlotte Flair. And like I say, I wish Hogan's daughter would have stayed in there and her name would be right. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the second generation, all women. And Tessa Blanchard is one of them. To be able to slide right in there, she's going to be a star immediately. We're going to actually get a chance to see how good Tessa Blanchard really is. Is she as good as she says she is as well? It's something I always wondered myself when I was working in other companies, especially before I got to WWE, was how good was I? You know what I mean? Can I go up here and show these guys that I am the real deal? And I thought in my head, I thought I could do that. I proved it in the long run. Tessa Blanchard's going to have a chance to go out there and do the same thing right now. I totally understand what Tessa not wanting to travel back and forth from Mexico into the States the way it is right now. It definitely could have been some kind of way they could have fixed that. So Tessa Blanchard wouldn't have had to, go through that. Of course, they say, she missed sending in. I don't know what happened, but I think it's going to be a loss for Impact more than it's going to be a loss for Tessa Blanchard, because Tessa, I really think she can work anywhere in the world with any other women out there in the business today. And she's made herself, first and foremost. Tessa Blanchard, she's never gone to WWE. She hadn't gotten the rub from people in the WWE for people to know Tessa Blanchard's name around the world. She done that on her own. And for her to do that, I give her big props, and hopefully WWE can snatch her up and we can see some great matches with her and Charlotte Flair.
Oh, yeah, that would be the obvious choice, right? I know AEW is still out there. People are talking about, which one is she going to go to? And, there's always those things that they'll travel with you, though, right? I mean, do you think that it would give a company pause hearing that maybe she wasn't the most compliant with company requests?
Every guy in the business that made it to the top at some point in their careers, they didn't apply with the company's request. I remember the first time, literally small company here in Houston, WWA, and got him, want to book my brother on the card because it was a personal issue, and I ended up quitting. So the next organization that I was going to be going to was Texas All Pro, which was another wrestling company right on the other side of town. And I was wrestling a guy at the National Guard Armory, and I was GI Bro. And the guy wanted me to go out and do a job at the National Guard Armory as GI Bro. And I said, man, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? What are you nuts? And ended up, getting heat from that one night. I went to the Global Wrestling Federation, and my brother was getting a tryout in Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. I just happened to be there with my brother, and he said, who's that guy? He goes, that's my brother. He said, is he a worker? Yeah, he's a worker. And he said, what's your name? He said, Booker T. He goes, oh, we heard about you. You're the one with the bad attitude. You know what I mean? So a lot of people in this business have rebelled along the way and still made it. So that's just a small story right there.
I never heard that. I never heard that one before. That's crazy. Eddie Gilbert's one who put you all who kind of put it all together for you, right?
He made us a tag team. He gave me a chance. Even though I knew I didn't have a bad attitude, it was just a misunderstanding with a guy who thought he had more authority, which he did at that time. But me personally, standing up for what I believed in and knowing it wasn't right. As a green kid, knowing something like that wasn't right, working for a promoter who didn't, it was best for me to move on from that situation. But it did get to Dallas, and then, the word was I had a bad attitude. Maybe Tessa Blanchard doesn't have a bad attitude. Maybe it's the people that she's been working around, more importantly than anything.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. And I like to see her in a WWE like that, because she was here at Reality Wrestling when we did our crossover show.
Yeah.
Impact, and she was awesome. She was easy to work with. I remember she came right in the office. You said, this is what I want. She went out there and did it.
Yeah.
And never complained about it. So I think she's an asset to any company. But, honestly, there's so many women in WWE. she'd probably be a bigger asset to AEW because they have a real thin women's roster. But I think that she would do better in WWE. That's just my.
I think in AEW, I think she'll be a huge fish in a small pond. I think for Tessa Blanchard to actually really go out there and put her stamp on the business, she's going to have to go to WWE. She's going to have to go there and perform at the highest level under the brightest lights to become as great as I think she want to be, as she is, and she want to be. So I just think going to AEW, nothing against that or anything like that, but just you hear in the on the internet, social media, how AEW is really not focusing a whole lot on their women's division. What is that, man? What's going on?
Sorry, something was playing in the background there. My bad.
What the heck is going on? I thought I heard, But nah, Tessa Blanchard, hopefully we'll pick her up, man. Hopefully we'll see her in WWE. Hopefully she'll make a huge splash and take over the women's division. And I can see something like that happen. I think she got the tools.
I could too. But before we get out of here, that's what I was trying to queue up. I don't know why I was playing in the background though. Do you know that the city's favorite, Zero, dropped a new album over the weekend?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's called I believe it's called Muhammad Ali is the name of the album. And he has one big feature on the album. You know who he got to lay a verse?
Who's that?
Our guy, friend of the show, actually, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh man, I gotta hear it, man.
That dropped one. So can I cue it up for you here?
Yeah, go ahead and cue it up, man.
This is to close out the show here. This is Shaq on the song "Stop the Rain" by Zero, the new album. Let me rewind it here.
Man, there it is, man. It's H-time, man. It's H-time. Shaq just dropped it like it's hot on all y'all asses, man. Hey, guys, thank y'all again, man, for hanging out in the Hall of Fame with myself, Brad Gilmore. And my boy, DJ Heller. He got something to do with this as well. Guys, we up out of here. We'll see y'all Wednesday night.